News with Mitsumi Takahashi.
Good evening. People in parts of Rigaud are looking ahead to a summer that's going to be a little drier than usual. They, along with people in the western parts of the town of Hudson, are being asked to reduce their water consumption. This includes a complete ban on all outdoor water use until further notice. Denise Roberts reports.
The grass may be a little less green in Rigaud this summer. The city is asking residents and businesses to consume less water and has banned its outdoor use. It's not the first time they've issued this directive, but Mayor Charles Meunier says the situation worsened last weekend.
We saw a significant impact into our water reserves, and that's why we get back to them for ask for collaboration.
Rigaud's municipal water system relies entirely on groundwater. It also supplies some residences in the west end of Hudson. But that system has been under strain, Meunier says, after years of neglect. He says upgrades are needed, but right now they're trying to fix the leaks.
We actually have not only our employees, but experts also that are working underground now to find those leaks.
The ban includes everything from watering lawns to filling swimming pools and washing cars. And the mayor of Rigaud says it could remain in effect until the end of the summer.
We want to make sure that people will be able to have water for the priority usage in their houses.
Rigaud isn't the only community dealing with a shortage, according to a public policy analyst at Au Secours.
I think what we're seeing in Rigaud today is probably one of many more to come.
She says while Quebec has some of the highest consumption rates in Canada, a lot of municipal water is making its way to businesses and industry, and residents are forced to shoulder the blame. Still, she says drinking water should never be used to wash cars or water lawns.
So if you really want to use water for those uses, try to collect rainwater in a barrel and use that water instead.
Meunier says the city is using water deliveries to stabilize its reserves, and a new pump is being installed to increase capacity.
On the good way, okay? But we need to catch up with this backlog.
Getting to the source of the problem. Denise Roberts, CTV News.
The teachers who were accused of creating a toxic climate at Bedford School in Côte-des-Neiges have been fired. There are 11 teachers in all, and as Stéphane Giroux reports, they will no longer be allowed to teach in the province.
The ruling marks the end of the road for what authorities called a dominating clique at the Bedford School in Côte-des-Neiges.
Nous, on a procédé au congédiement des 11 enseignants.
The teachers were fired the minute we received the conclusions from the Ministry of Education's investigation, explains a school board official. 2 years ago, the radio station 98.5 FM revealed that 11 teachers who attended the same local mosque in Côte-des-Neiges ran the French public school on their own, disregarding management and school board directives and Ministry of Education programs. Girls, for example, didn't have access to certain sports. Sex education was ignored. Science and technologies were downplayed. And special needs students didn't get access to resources. The teachers were originally suspended with salaries as the provincial government opened an investigation. In Quebec City, opposition parties are unanimously supporting the decision to fire them.
I'm satisfied. We don't want these teachers around our children. We don't want that kind of behavior in our schools, whether it be Bedford or elsewhere.
It was a thing to do. When you have a legal teaching certificate, it's an honor, it's a privilege, and you have to be at the height of what it means. So that was the thing to do.
The fact that those teachers were fired is a very good thing. This is what had to happen.
The Montreal School Services Center says the problematic staff has since been replaced.
Il y a un avant et un après Bedford.
There's a before and after Bedford, she says, and the new team courageously put together a new action plan. The union representing the 11 teachers did not comment today's decision, but it did mention that the teachers do have the right to appeal the ruling. meaning that the case is not fully closed for now. Stéphane Giroux, CTV News.
An arrest warrant has been issued for a suspect in the fatal shooting of Charalambos Bobby the Greek Theologou. The SQ has issued an arrest warrant for Denis Beaupré. He is 54 years old from Laval. He's not been seen since last October, just days after the shooting. Theologou was killed in a Starbucks in Chambéry, Laval. 2 other people were injured. Officials confirmed the murder is linked to organized crime. Anyone with information is being asked to call the SQ. And police have made an arrest in a cold case. They arrested a 42-year-old man for a murder in LaSalle that happened 19 years ago. A 24-year-old man was stabbed to death in his car in February of 2007. James Gould now faces first-degree murder charges in the case. Gould is already serving time at the Drummondville Penitentiary in connection with another killing. Anyone with information on this case is being asked to call 911. And the QR code on your screen will take you to our website. And there's a story there that looks at dozens of cold cases in Montreal. They include a photo gallery with information on the cases. PQ leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon says he believes officials in Ottawa could be spying on Quebec's separatist movement, and he claims the late Claude Morin as the former PQ minister who was later found to be an informant for the RCMP. Saint-Pierre Plamondon says he doesn't bring his phone into certain meetings.
Historically, the federal government has spied and made a lot of illegal and unethical moves to have a surveillance over the Parti Québécois. And it's been done in each decade. So what I said is, I don't have the means to verify any of those facts as of today. But given the history, constant history of illegal and unjustifiable moves by the federal government, I need to assume that it might happen as well today, because as well as of new technologies that make it much more easier.
The PQ is promising to hold a 3rd referendum in its first mandate if the party returns to power this fall. An immigration program known as the PEC is being brought back. It was a fast-track immigration program, and when it was scrapped last year, it put many people's lives in limbo. Sweeta Rassi reports.
Québec Solidaire urged the CAQ to stop stalling and finally bring back the PEC.
Every single day there are Quebecers being impacted. Their workers, their students, which permits expires. It's been the same for the last year since the PEC closure.
The program provided international students and temporary foreign workers a pathway to permanent residency. But it was scrapped in November last year under former Immigration Minister Jean-François Roberge. What replaced it was a skilled selection worker program, also known as the PSTQ, which prioritizes French and favors applicants who already got their degree in Quebec. But there was a significant pushback, with calls that the CAQ government implement a grandfather clause. During her campaign run for the party leadership, Premier Christine Fréchette promised to bring back the PEC for 2 years, but no date was set.
Que la Première ministre s'est engagée à réactiver le programme de l'expérience québécoise.
The opposition party tabled a motion at the National Assembly, calling on the province to bring back the program no later than June 12th, and it was adopted.
We've been waiting for a date, for weeks now, for months now, and now we know that it's going to happen within the next weeks.
For the co-presidents of the Quebec Immigration Lawyers Association, there is some confusion. Yves Martineau says the CAQ made 2 promises with 2 different objectives, like reinstating the PEC, as well as keeping immigration numbers capped.
Because let's remember that Christine Fréchette promised that she will reopen the PEC, but she also promised that she will maintain the objectives of 29,000 economic immigrants per year. Mathematics don't add up. It is mathematically impossible to maintain the number of new CSQ under the current program, the PSTQ, and add up the PEC and still meet this 29,000 threshold. So there has to be some ways to cut people off.
And while not everyone agreed with the motion, including members of the Parti Québécois, groups like the Quebec Student Union say they are extremely happy that the PEC will be coming back. Sweeta Rassi, CTV News, Quebec City.
CAA Quebec has released its annual list of the worst roads in the province as chosen by drivers. And not a single road in the Montreal area is in the top 10. Gatineau leads with 4 roads in the top 5. CAA, meanwhile, though, has its own list of the most dangerous roads in each region. For the Montreal area, they include Notre Dame Street East, Sherbrooke, and the Boulevard.
Or flat tire services in January, whereas at one point plus 75% year over year for Montreal. And when we look at the data from starting January 1st up to April 30th, it's actually plus 26% of flat tire services for the Montreal Island only. So we do feel that was the epicenter of flat tires this year, and it is to us a testament of about how bad the roads were in the city this year.
And we have more on our website, ctvnewsmontreal.ca. There will soon be a new clinic dedicated to women's health in Le Quartier d'Estrante in Brossard. Officials say the clinic will bring issues of prevention, research, and training all under one roof, and they say this will allow for a more comprehensive treatment of women's psychological and physical needs.
Every decision that we've been making over the course of the last 2 mandates was to make sure that the citizens who choose to live here have access to the best quality of services. The biology of women is different. So what the doctor is starting here with all of the players involved is to create an ecosystem where the woman she comes, whether she knows what's wrong or not, whether there is anything wrong at all, we look at her health in all facets. It's not just physical health, it's mental health.
Moving season is always a problem for people with pets. Less than half the places listed for rent take pets. The Montreal SPCA commissioned a new Léger poll that found that of the nearly 200 rental ads in March, only 44% listed that it was available for people with pets. The SPCA says 620 animals were brought in last year because their owners couldn't afford to keep them after a move. And this despite the fact that the rental board has deemed no pet clauses to be not unenforceable.
The Housing Tribunal found that no pet clauses are essentially contrary to tenants' fundamental rights as protected by the Quebec Charter of Human Rights and Freedoms. We now know that the landlord in that case is seeking leave to appeal, so possibly the case will end up in front of a higher court, and then we'll see exactly if that first instance decision is confirmed, in which case that will have a huge impact. It will bind future decision makers at the Housing Tribunal to find that no pet clauses are contrary to law.
CTV News asked the tenants' rights organization involved for comment, but did not hear back in time for deadline. And the Quebec Landlords Association said they didn't have anyone available to speak to us. The U.S. coffee chain Dunkin is planning to come back to Canada. The original chain, Dunkin' Donuts, used to have hundreds of stores nationwide. The last 3 locations shut down in 2018. Dunkin' has signed a deal with the restaurant giant Foodtastic, which runs several chains, including Second Cup. Foodtastic plans to open hundreds of new locations across Canada, with the first stores opening within the next year.
Bringing that whole young, generational, fun, great liquids concept here to Canada with the support of somebody like Foodtastic, who runs 1,200 restaurants across the country, I think it's going to be a win-win situation. We're a Montreal-based company. We're Canadian, and we're going to have the support and marketing support that the franchisees need because we are based here in the country.
There is more great hockey than anyone could ever want in Montreal tonight. Both of Montreal's teams are on the ice. The Habs and the Victoire are both looking for a third win. Now, Olivia, the Habs, they want a solid lead in the series against the Buffalo Sabres.
That's right, Matsumi. The Montreal Canadiens are looking to win tonight. That would mean they would go up 3-1 in their series. So a big game here at home tonight. The Buffalo Sabres have lost the last 2 games, and they lost Sunday's game 6-2. So they've decided it's time to make a change. Goalie Pekka Luukkonen is in net tonight, taking over from Alex Lyon. Luukkonen began the playoffs as the Sabres' #1 goalie, but he was pulled in the first round Meantime, the Canadians have a lot going for them. Rookie Jacob Dobish has been lights out every night, and the home fans are really cranking up the volume. It's still any team's series, but the Habs have a chance to take a 2-game lead tonight, and they say they're going to continue to play their game.
So many part of the game that you have to be detailed in, and it takes time to build that. And I feel like we've gone at the right pace. I've liked all the steps that we've taken, and we're going to continue to take steps and still like add some details and being able to adjust.
Definitely expect their best game, and we got to give our best game too. It's a huge game for both teams, so it should be the hardest one, and yeah, we're gonna have some fun.
And Olivia, for the Victoire.
You can see the fan.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead, Matsumi.
No,
The
you go
fan
ahead,
jam
Olivia.
is behind me.
Okay. Yeah, I know,
The
it's
fan jam
incredible.
is behind me.
I know, it's like a sea of red and white and blue back there. Okay, so Olivia, for the Victoire, tonight's playoff game is winner take all.
Exactly. The Victoire are up in Laval playing the Minnesota Frost. That's game 5. So it's a win or go home for the Victoire. They're looking to advance past round. The game was supposed to be last night, yesterday, Monday night. It was supposed to be held there, but it was postponed. The PWHL postponed the game because of player safety. They said there was concerns related to illness. The league says the symptoms were not consistent with the Hantavirus, but they did not explain further than that. So that game, the Victoire and the Frost puck drop, is at 7 o'clock tonight, same time as the Habs. So there's no shortage of hockey in the city tonight, and it might lead to some tough decisions or flicking back and forth with the remote, to me.
Thanks very much, Olivia. And that's Olivia O'Malley at the Bell Center. And coming up, the census protest.
I do feel betrayed by the government.
So some are choosing to defy the law and not fill out the census. And Donald Trump is going to China for what's being called a high-stakes summit. Today is the deadline to fill out the census form. Filling it out is a legal requirement. Some people, though, are refusing to complete the survey this year in protest. Heather Wright has more.
During the last census in 2021, roughly 98% of Canadians filled out the survey, a vital tool, according to Statistics Canada, that helps governments make informed decisions.
I do feel betrayed by the government.
But some are choosing not to fill out this year's census as a way to protest the Carney government in the series of floor crossings that helped the Liberals secure a majority government last month.
We voted for a minority government. We didn't vote for a majority government. Why can't we have a say?
While Canadians have been asked to fill out the census by today, it's not technically a deadline. If people don't fill it out, they could receive follow-up phone calls or in-person visits until it is completed, which is required by law. Those who refuse could receive a fine of up to $500.
It's a key part of our democracy, but it's also fundamental for the basic services that government provides. You're going to want to know where the population lives if you're going to place a school, a hospital, a fire station, a police station. If you're planning transit routes, you need to know where people live and where they work.
Jeff Balby is the Assistant Chief Statistician for Statistics Canada and says all data collected is de-identified and securely kept within the organization.
We are absolutely required under law to keep all of the data that we collect here at StatCan within the walls of Statistics Canada so we can guarantee the privacy and confidentiality.
Statistics Canada says it is still too early to know how many people have refused the census, but they say according to preliminary numbers, the response rate this year is comparable to in the past. Heather Wright, CTV News, Brampton, Ontario.
The head of the World Health Organization says at this time there are no signs of a broader hantavirus outbreak.
But of course, the situation could change. And given the long incubation period of the virus, it's possible we might see more cases in the coming weeks.
All the passengers who were on that cruise ship have now gone home. In total, 3 people died of the Hantavirus. 7 cases were confirmed. Here in Canada, 9 people are being monitored. 4 of them are in BC, 2 in Alberta, and 3 in Ontario. There's a growing political crisis in the UK. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer told his cabinet today that he will not resign despite growing calls from within his own party.
Is this the change in promise, Minister?
Starmer is under pressure to step down following last week's disastrous local election results. He's also facing criticism over a struggling economy. Starmer won a landslide victory in 2024. The next general election is 3 years away. U.S. President Donald Trump is off to Beijing for his high-stakes summit with China's President Xi Jinping. The 2 leaders are expected to discuss a wide range of issues from trade to Iran to Taiwan. Janice Mackey-Freyer has more from Beijing.
The historic summit is less about deals or breakthroughs and more about managing tensions in a U.S.-China relationship that is strained. The visit, President Trump's second to China as president, was delayed because of the Iran war, but is now going ahead despite the Iran war. At the center are the same big issues: trade, technology, and security. The U.S. is likely to focus on tariffs, while China's leader Xi Jinping will be looking to steady relations to help the economy here. The most sensitive issue remains Taiwan, where even small changes in language or tone can have major consequences for regional stability. Alongside that, restrictions on advanced technology and semiconductors continue to be a hurdle. There's also a high-powered business delegation that's coming along that includes Elon Musk, Tim Cook, and the CEOs of Boeing, BlackRock, and Visa. These are American companies looking mostly for access and influence here. There is no expectation of a major deal or reset. In fact, Chinese officials have been holding last-minute meetings in South Korea with U.S. commerce officials, a sign that the 2 sides are still trying to finalize the deliverables. Instead, the summit is about setting guardrails in a rivalry for the longer term to keep the relationship from getting worse. Janice Mackey-Freyer, NBC News, Beijing.
French President Emmanuel Macron interrupted his speech today to address a noisy crowd. It happened during a presentation at the Africa Forward Summit in Nairobi.
Air burning, air pollution, and our beaches are dirty. So then...
Already? You're not waiting your turn.
I will make order. Excuse me, everybody. Hey! I'm sorry, guys. But it's impossible to speak about culture, to have people like that super inspired coming here, making a speech with such a noise. So this is a total lack of respect.
The summit aims at bolstering links between France and the continent of Africa. And coming up, everyone is talking about it.
It's like, wow, that really happened, you know?
And it is raising questions about the dangers of intersections. And growing questions about Vladimir Putin after a very subdued victory day. There are increasing questions about Vladimir Putin's grip on power. All eyes were on the victory celebrations in Russia this year, and it was more subdued than usual. Roger Hilton is with the global think tank GOPSEC in Slovakia. And Roger, you're in Vienna, but I take it you're going to be staying up late to watch the Habs game because I see the jersey up behind you.
They need all the juju I can get, but let's get to international and geopolitics first, Mitsumi. So good evening.
Okay. So what does this year's scaled-down parade say about the state of Russia right now?
Well, I mean, I think it's just the clearest sign publicly showing how bad everything is going for Putin, both on the home front and on the battlefield. Emerging technology, Ukraine's new strategy to enlarge the kill box, Ukraine's own sanctions, the way they're hitting oil refineries, not to mention drones reaching deep into Russia, as well as sort of suburban bougie parts of Moscow, has really rattled him. So one is a security concern, and I think the other one is, you talk about if Russia's isolated or not. Who's really isolated here is Putin. so much reporting coming out about how he has an enhanced security protocol. His chefs, his drivers aren't allowed to have internet or cameras around, and his inner circle is really dwindling. So really not a good time to be Putin, but still not completely out of the game, but Russian army in reverse.
Well, the cost of the war against Ukraine is very high. Russia increasingly isolated. Some observers say that Putin has led Russia into a dead end. Do you agree?
Well, what I reject is that throughout this entire process, Russia was never really diplomatically isolated. I mean, there's multiple international platforms that they still deal with, some very important, like the Shanghai Cooperation or OPEC+. Militarily, there's not much to go. And his strategy of feeding the recruits with high signing bonuses is really worn out. The reports, Mitsumi, that 30 to 40,000, Russian soldiers, casualties, both killed in action and injured or getting there. He's having problems replacing them. And as I said at the beginning of the segment, Ukraine's jump in innovation and their strategy has really, really made a huge difference now. I mean, stuff out of the sci-fi movies with Ukrainian robots taking full positions and taking Russian prisoners. So at the moment, it's not really something Russia can keep up with. And despite this all, Ukraine still continues to stand and even takes back territory in the Donbass.
And what more do you think Ukraine can do to take advantage of this situation?
Well, the first thing they need to do is they need to continue to keep the current strategy up and keep the pressure on. I mean, how embarrassing is it that it was President Zelensky in Ukraine who gave the presidential decree that they could have the parade in Moscow with the May Day parade. But what's actually already transpired is Zelensky is already using this leverage a little bit. First and foremost, today in Europe, it was reported that there are reports that both Russia and Ukraine are looking at a ceasefire on critical infrastructure and airports, which is a huge thing. I mean, this has been a huge headache for Russian passengers in Moscow. So, I mean, the fact that Putin's already negotiating even through European intermediaries is a big one. And the second one, and this is really a message for Washington, is it dispels the notion that the Trump administration had been putting out that Ukraine was losing and that they had to sign a bad peace. So Ukraine is in a much better position right now to be asking for more material support and more backing as they move forward, as they go into it's now the 5th year longer than the Russian military fighting Nazi Germany.
Meanwhile, though, Donald Trump has threatened to withdraw U.S. troops from Europe. How will Putin see this?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, it's important to state that the current priorities of the Pentagon and the geopolitical realities of the situation call for the United States to, one way or another, eventually draw down the troops from Europe. This is not new. What's more important about this is that it's done in an organized manner in coordination with allies, and that they keep moving forward on it. So, I mean, there will always be an American presence, Mitsumi, in Europe as they need the access to American bases to project power and forward presence. But as I said, I mean, this is not a huge surprise. And even the admission by Trump that he wants to move the troops out of Germany they're going to Poland. So right again on NATO's eastern flank.
And very quickly, Roger, because we're almost out of time, what does all this mean for Canada, NATO, Europe?
This is important. I mean, first and foremost, they need to reinforce the eastern flank, which is the most exposed. And what we've seen here over the last 18 months in Europe, and which will eventually come to Canada, is to prepare for sort of these gray zone tactics when it comes to sabotage, drones. Europe and Canada need to look forward on foresight, looking forward to more problems, and they need to really activate the private sector to scale up sort of production, which is one of the issues that both NATO states and Canada are currently facing or struggling with at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much for this, Roger.
Happy birthday, Mom, and go Habs go.
Many Canadian winemakers have been helped by local trends and the ban on American alcohol, but they're still being hampered by interprovincial trade barriers and high taxes. Here's Rachel Ayala.
If there's false barriers erected between provinces, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Winemaker Tim Kepfer would like to expand the reach of his small winery.
There's lots of room to do better. From our perspective, there's never been infrastructure to ship wine to other provinces, so that market's still young and inaccessible to a winery my size.
Billions of dollars in untapped economic benefit is being left on winery floors, according to a new report. Despite a national push to dismantle interprovincial trade barriers, many persist and are hindering the Canadian wine sector's ability to grow. Canadian wines currently make up just under 29% of domestic wine sales, contributing $10 billion annually to the GDP. But new analysis estimates that increasing the market share for made-in-Canada wine to 51% could grow the sector's GDP contribution to $13.7 billion a year. Halfway between Ottawa and Toronto, the county is home to dozens of wineries, producing award-winning sparkling, delicate reds, crisp whites, and innovative natural wines. But despite provinces' U.S. booze bans opening up shelf space, many local producers say there's still challenges gaining access.
There are so many different rules between all our regulatory systems that it is actually very difficult to market that to a consumer and to explain what is actually going on. At the end of the day, it should be, would you like to buy a bottle of wine from your local winery? Yes, here you go, and have a good time.
The industry wants a federal strategy and a reduced tax burden. Right now, according to Wine Growers Canada, mid-sized wineries pay on average 14 times more in excise duty than their U.S. competitors.
That means that winery in the United States has a greater chance of investing in their business, growing their business, whereas the winery in Ontario, or any place in Canada for that matter, would face a significant impact.
The federal government says it's done its part.
We think the provinces need to do more. We've talked to the provinces about moving faster.
Wineries across the country sustain more than 99,000 jobs. Minister LeBlanc said today he agrees it's in the national interest to let the wine from these vines flow more freely. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Prince Edward County.
Pierre-Carl Pelado says the broadcast industry is in serious trouble, and he's again calling on Quebec and Ottawa for help. Pelado is president of Groupe TVA. He says if nothing is done, some original local shows will have to stop production to be replaced by cheaper foreign-made ones. He says high-speed internet now forces private broadcasters in Quebec to compete with programming from all over the world.
The most viewed shows in Quebec are Quebecers. This is not American broadcasting. It's about our series, it's about our lives, it's about us. And now we're facing this dramatic situation. We need to change the way that we've been operating for so many years, and therefore ask all the stakeholders of the industry, and there are many, to sit around a table. Unfortunately, it's not the first time we've been asking for it.
Weather brought to you by Gratian Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
Well, we could break a rainfall total record tomorrow, and along with that, even colder than it was today, where we saw a daytime high of only 13 degrees, so certainly cooler than the seasonal 18, but no record was broken here, certainly not for the warmest day, and neither did we hit this 0.8 that was achieved in 2005. Now, overnight, we are going to start seeing increasing clouds, and we'll continue to hold on to that into the early morning hours. We get a preview of the system moving in from the west, and with it, we are going to start seeing rain around noon, and it's going to continue pretty much throughout the day with heavier rainfall at times and into the evening and early morning hours on Thursday. So once again, we will see rain on Wednesday as well as on Thursday. It looks like it could just be the start of our day, but I will keep my eye on that. Overnight, we're seeing a low of 7 degrees, so that is where it should be this time of year. Partly cloudy skies. We start tomorrow off at 8 degrees with cloudy skies. Then into the afternoon, that's when the system hits Montreal. We could see around 16 millimeters of rain, and it will be a cool 11 degrees. Now, I did hint at the fact that we could break a record that was achieved in 2006. That is 15.6 millimeters. As of right now, we would, in theory, break that, so I will keep you posted. Now, looking at our longer range forecast, there is a little bit of hope to look for as we head closer to the weekend. So on Thursday, we will see only 14 degrees along with 13 millimeters of rain. That's what we're estimating right now. On Friday, it starts to warm up, 19 degrees with a mix of sun and clouds, so perfect weather for a Friday. Heading into Saturday, 24 degrees, so we will surpass 20, and we could see around 1 millimeter of rain later in the day. Sunday, we hold hold on to 24, nice and sunny there. Monday, we will see a high of 20, and this time next week, it looks like we're hovering just below 30 degrees, along with 2 millimeters of rain.
Images of a motorcycle crash in Vancouver have gone viral, and they're prompting many discussions in the riding community. Sinjan Alexander has more.
At first glance, this seems impossible. This must be a prank or AI. But it's real, all right. And now one of the most analyzed and talked about motorcycle crashes.
It's like, wow, that really happened, you know?
Moments before the collision, watch the middle of the intersection. A sedan is making a left-hand turn. Then a bike enters the frame. It's up on one wheel as the rider appears to hit the brakes before colliding with the car. Mike McDonald, instructor at V-Twin Motorcycle Riding School.
Oftentimes when something like this does happen, everybody's thinking, oh, is this rider okay? Do we know him?
Police say the rider was hurt, but is expected to survive. Now, we don't have all the details yet. Investigators will likely reconstruct the crash. We are told intersections are one of the most dangerous spots on the road for motorbikes.
Because we have risks coming from all different locations, both sides, in front of us, turns, all of those things.
Ryan Austin is also an instructor and retired police sergeant. He figures the forensic team will be looking at angles of contact. And because the bike left the ground, it might reveal how fast it was going based on throw distance.
From a legal perspective, the officers doing the investigation still need to put all the pieces together to show that that video is actually valid.
The kind of car it was and the way the fender was shaped, and of course, you know, the front tire of a motorcycle being as rounded as it is, it was just a perfect storm, and geometry just kind of launched it up.
And since these images are so baffling and has people talking, they hope it reminds riders the importance of defensive training and drivers to stay alert as motorcycle season officially gets underway. Sinjan Alexander, CTV News, Vancouver.
Coming up, it is a critical drug after an organ transplant.
I'm not sure why they would take a risk with somebody's life to save a few dollars.
He's being told to make some changes against doctors' orders.
Menswear provided by Ernest. Elevate your style with Ernest. Your Health, brought to you by Gration Scaff's 50th anniversary gift event. Get a complete second pair and sunglasses as a gift.
An Ottawa man says his insurance company is refusing to pay for a brand name drug he's been taking for years in favor of a generic version. He's a kidney recipient, and he says he's just following doctor's orders. Here's Katie Griffin.
One of the 1 milligram.
Shad Zachary has taken this medication every day since his kidney transplant 3 years ago.
It's my wife's donated kidney, and I feel I owe it to her to make sure I keep it as healthy as I can for the longest time.
Advigraph, the brand name of the drug tacrolimus, is used to help prevent organ rejection. His insurance plan with the federal government had reimbursed the cost of hundreds of dollars until last month.
They said no, there is a generic medicine.
Canada Life told him reimbursement at the brand name cost can only be approved if an adverse reaction to the lowest cost alternative drug has occurred or is expected to occur. So Zachary sent in the required form with a doctor's note stating there's a risk of organ rejection with a generic version.
And we made sure to point out what the doctor had said about the risks of making the switch, and then when we heard that it was denied the second time, it was mind-boggling.
There are very few medications that fall into that narrow therapeutic index, but anti-rejection medications are one of them.
Zachary's doctor says even small changes can cause the appropriate dose to be ineffective or toxic.
There is essentially no benefit to the patient of doing that, and you are putting them at risk. It's not that generics are bad. It's just that in this case, for this medication, you want to keep as much as possible patients on the same brand of medication to avoid that variability.
In a statement, Canada Life says the government's Public Service Healthcare Plan Authority determines what is covered under its plan, and Canada Life administers claims in compliance with it. The Treasury Board says reimbursement is limited to 80% of the cost of the generic equivalent, and that it's Canada Life's medical experts who determine eligibility for reimbursement of the brand name drug.
I'm blessed that we have two incomes, but there's a lot of things that other people are not going to be in a position to pay. And so I'm not sure why they would take a risk with somebody's life to save a few dollars.
Katie Griffin, CTV News.
Canadian basketball player Brandon Clark has died. He was 29 years old. Clark's death was announced by his NBA team, the Memphis Grizzlies. According to NBC, his death is being investigated as a possible overdose. Last month, Clark was arrested in Arkansas for speeding and for possession of a controlled substance. Clark was drafted in the first round by Oklahoma City Thunder in 2019 and was traded 2 weeks later to Memphis. The FIFA World Cup is just 1 month away. Toronto will host 6 matches, starting with Canada's first match on June the 12th. And fans are starting to feel the excitement.
I think it's just an exciting time. It's kind of like the Olympics, where you get like so many different people from so many different countries. And I think it's just going to be like one big party.
You know, I think the frenzy is building. We know that. We've seen from day one on our 1 year to go celebration, Nathan Phillips Square was packed with people wearing their soccer jerseys from their home countries and from Canada. We've seen good crowds, interest on social and other areas. So I think the excitement is building.
And in Vancouver, BC Place has been renovated for the tournament. The upgrades include new elevators, a new scoreboard, new grass in place of artificial turf. The first of 7 games at BC Place will be played on June the 13th.
Business News brought to you by Au Vieux de Louvre, where memories and meals come together.
The U.S. Customs Agency has started issuing tariff refunds. Morella Fernandez has more on that.
We have the first tally of refunds for American tariffs. The U.S. Customs Agency says it's processed refunds plus interest totaling over $35 billion so far. When the U.S. Supreme Court deemed the U.S. president's tariffs illegal in February, exporters and retailers lined up to get their money back. It's estimated Walmart alone is owed over $10 billion. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 73. West Texas Intermediate is up over $4 to 102.37. Western Canadian Select up over $2 to 77.82. And the TSX gained 151 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
The Cannes Film Festival has begun. Today marks the start of 12 days of world premieres. The winner of the festival will be given the Palme d'Or. The opening night film is the French comedy drama The Electric Kiss. There's also going to be a tribute tonight to Peter Jackson. He's the director behind The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. In just a few minutes' time, 2 Montreal teams hit the ice. Matt, big night for hockey fans.
That's right, Mitsumi. A big night, of course, of hockey ahead of us. The Habs looking to take a commanding 3-1 series lead at home. Game 4 puck drop is set for 7 o'clock. We'll have post-game reaction with all the highlights. And in the PWHL, the Montreal Victoire, Game 5 against the Minnesota Frost. The winner plays in the final for the Walter Cup. That's the PWHL Championship. So we'll have the highlights of both of those games and a lot more news tonight at 11:30. Mitsumi?
Thanks very much, Matt. And when we come back, young students working to make the school zones safer. Some young students have created art in the name of street safety. Krista Simpson has more.
Slow down. Kids cross here. Messages to drivers from Danielle, Aluna, Lottie, and Emily, students at Janet Metcalf Public School in Kitchener.
It's important because if they don't slow down, like serious stuff can happen.
I understand that you were moved to create some art.
after a bit of an incident of road violence in your school zone.
The artwork was drawn when the students were kindergartners, a response to a close call and concerns about safety for the school community. Now, the students are in grades 2 and 3, and their work is being used to spread the message about keeping school zones safe.
I made the kids cross here. I made the 30-kilometer zone.
They really thought about what the problem was and what needed to be solved, and they came forward for us in ways that adults have not in a lot of times.
The signs come from Student Transportation Services of Waterloo Region through a grant from the Ministry of Transportation. Unveiled in time for Canada Road Safety Week, the signs will be displayed in front of 38 public and Catholic elementary schools in Waterloo Region.
It makes me feel grateful and proud because our signs are like at different schools.
The signs will be up over the next few weeks and will be brought out again during the next school year at times of heightened traffic risk. A student-led campaign reminding drivers of what's at stake when they're going through school zones. Krista Simpson, CTV News, Kitchener.
And Laura, we've got a lot of rain headed our way.
Yes, 2 days in a row where we're seeing the rainfall in the teens. So tonight we should enjoy the fact that we're not expecting rain. We will see partly cloudy skies, a low of 7 degrees. That is where it should be. We start the day off with cloudy skies, a wake-up temperature of 8 degrees. We are only seeing the mercury climb to 11 when it should be at 18. And yes, we're calling for 16 millimeters of rain and another 13 on Thursday. So keep that umbrella and raincoat handy.
And that's it for us. Have a good evening. Stay well. Good night.